Hello, this is Ben with Empower Gaming Computers. Today, we're going to talk about a few key things regarding the AMD 7000 series launch. Start, I'd like to kind of give you a scenario that most of you may be currently facing right now, which is upgrading from AM4 or your current AMD processor 5 socket that currently supports the AMD 7000 series. So I just wanted to give you that scenario and kind of walk through what it's going to take to actually upgrade from your current AMD processor to the AMD 7000 series. So number one, the new motherboard that is going to be required because there is a new socket for the new socket. AM4 is no longer supported with the newest generation of AMD processor, which is the 7000 series, so you have to upgrade your motherboard to a AM5 motherboard. Currently, only the X670 and X670E is available on the market right now as we speak, or as I'm posting this video. The other note is the platform supports DDR5 currently. I don't think there's going to be support, or I don't know that there's going to be support for DDR4, maybe with the B550 series, or I'm sorry, B650 series, or maybe on, but currently DDR5 is only RAM supported with X670. DDR5, as a side note, is very expensive, though I have been seeing the prices of DDR5 coming down substantially since it originally launched. One of the other notes while going through an upgrade is your cooler for your current AM4 processor may not be compatible with AM5, though most AM4 coolers that support AM4 have been compatible with AM5. It's just make sure you check with your manufacturer's support, or you assume that it's going to fit it. It should fit, though. All the ones that I've seen, any of these socket, just as an example, the Lian Li coolers that use the brackets, the stock brackets on the motherboard, those are 100% compatible. They work, but some things to keep in mind is that it is a newer CPU which draws more power, and the more power it draws means more heat it's going to produce. So make sure your cooler keep up with the heat of your new CPU, AMD 7000 CPU. I don't see a problem really with the AMD 7600X or the 7700X. It's really going to be those Ryzen 9 7900X users and up that's where you'll want to pay attention to your cooler, and just make sure that you have a proper cooler for your CPU that's going to keep up with that heat, that new heat demand. Also a side note, because depending on your system and your configuration, if you have a power supply that is just barely keeping up with your current system, you may want to consider upgrading your power supply as well, because the new Ryzen's 7000 series processors have been known to really draw a lot more power, so just keep that in mind as well. So if you're right on the cusp right now, and you could go to the websites and kind of use a calculator to do the math behind it, but overall, just keep that, just a side note to keep in mind, especially if your current system is right on the cusp of meeting that limit. You may want to consider an upgrade, especially if you want to take advantage of the new NVIDIA series graphics cards that are going to be released here soon as well. So, might be beneficial. Alright, so talking about the actual performance of these CPUs, or a little bit around it, and then cost, and I'm going to touch on who this upgrade would probably work for best, right off the bat. So, multi-threading on these new processors are absolute beast. They have pretty much just put the i9 12900K to shame when it comes to multi-threading or multitasking in most cases. Also for your 3D artists that are rendering a lot of things and trying to use do more for some of the renders, this Ryzen 9 CPU, 7950X, actually, on the screen, is a beast for those types of projects, at a better cost than having to, or trying to, like, invest in a Threadripper or something. This would be ideal for your entry-level performance CPU for the 3D artists, in my opinion. It'll do great for you. Definitely a huge step up from the Intel i9 12900K. So just, and again, keep in mind these processors are drawing more power, and creating more heat. So obviously the coolers, manufacturers haven't really put out a lot of support information regarding compatibility with AM5, but most are compatible. If they're compatible with AM4, are going to be compatible with AM5. Height difference hasn't changed, according to AMD specs that I've read, which means it should be pretty much the same socket, as well as the holes are in the same location as AM4 from what I read as well. So now let's talk about the cost of moving to this platform. It's obviously really not cheap. It's definitely more in the 1,000-ish range if you wanted, say, a Ryzen 7 7700X and a middle-of-the-road X670E motherboard or 670 motherboard and 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. Just as an example, you're going to be in the 1,000 range. If you wanted to do more of a cheaper option, probably get started on the platform with a Ryzen 5, Ryzen 5 7600X, and obviously that would be a little cheaper, but I think the benefit of actually seeing the benefit is going with the Ryzen 700 up. So that's the same. But you're going to be looking at about $824.97 just to start before taxes, just to start with the Ryzen 7, one of the cheaper 670 motherboards and 30 gigabytes of RAM. So it's $824.97, taxes not included, just to start on the platform. Not a cheap upgrade. Right now, I kind of expect, after the hype of AMD processor launch, comes around and circles back, it's probably going to drop down price in the next few months. Kind of my expectation. I've seen the launches before. This one has been a slower launch, and I think that's because of the economy, and there's less what we call quote-unquote scalpers buying it up and reselling on eBay or other places, whatnot, for a higher price. So that has kind of slowed down as well with the market. So I'm seeing a lot of CPUs still in stock. For example, at Micro Center, Amazon still has them in stock, though Amazon prices are a little higher than your Micro Center or Best Buy prices. Those are going to be your best bet to get MSRP, is Micro Center, Best Buy, and maybe Newegg if they have them in stock. So, talking about who would this upgrade benefit, or who would benefit from this upgrade, really your content creators that are streaming and gaming on the same system, or doing all, your video editing on a system. This is where you're going to get this is who's going to really benefit from it. Same with, like I mentioned before, your professional 3D artists. Those are the benefit. Those are the people that are really going to benefit from this new processor because of the multitasking or the multi-threading performance out of these processors. That's who's going to benefit most. Content creators, video, music editors, and professional gamers, because there is a little bit of a performance gain here, and it's setting you up for a better system that will upgrade easier in the future with its newer technology that it supports on the platform. So overall, professional gamers, if you're trying to get 5 to 10 more FPS with the current video card platform that's out right now, you could definitely go with this platform. And then also your traditional flexers, people that are just looking to have the best possible system out there. That's where may not make sense financially to go in and do this, but you can tell your buddies that you're the best system around and greatest. But obviously right now, my opinion is you could wait a little bit on this and see if the prices come down, but if you wait too long, stock or inventory may become a problem. So there's a catch-22 there. But right now, as of right now, I've looked at Micro Center stock. It hasn't disappeared like the past AMD launches as quickly. They still have quite a few in stock. I haven't seen any stock or inventory issues yet, and usually when an AMD launch, they're gone the same day and they're out of stock. So it's been a slower launch, which is good for the buyers such as ourselves. So anyway, I hope this information is useful for anybody that's looking to upgrade, get a little bit of knowledge on the AMD 7000 series launch, and also kind of get an idea of the cost without really doing work there. I hope this information is useful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Power Gaming Computers, else at support@empowergamingpcs.com, or you can also call us or text us or reach out on any of our social platforms. I'll be happy to respond and answer any questions. Well, happy gaming, everybody, and I hope everybody enjoys this content, and if you'd like to see more, feel free to share your opinion. Thank you.